This is Flat Out Agility, an Australian agility podcast. I'm Grace. We are joined today by mother and daughter Eva and Isabella Baad, both of whom recently competed for Team Australia at the World Agility Open in the Netherlands. I'm super excited to hear all about the trip, but first, to start us off, Eva and Isabella, can you share your agility journeys?
I actually started as a 12-year-old. So I grew up in Sweden and started my agility journey over there with my mum finding out about it. So that became a whole family affair because I started doing it and then mum and dad got their own dogs and joined in. So I did it in Sweden for about 8 years before I moved to Australia, and then started again those 10 years ago when we got Gracie, our old girl.
And I started just coming to training at our local club, and I was like helping instruct, or not really instruct, but yeah, and just coming along and going to trials and watching. And then eventually I got my own dog when I turned 11, who's a Papillon. And we started training at our club and competing, and that's kind of it.
So how did you two first find out about the World Agility Open and what made you want to pursue it?
Well, I found out from Isabella.
And I found out from the other junior on the team, Sophie.
And why did you guys decide you wanted to, this was something you wanted to do?
Well, Sophie was going and I wanted to hang out with her and I thought it was cool. So I asked, and yeah.
Yeah, so Isabella asked me and went, well, could we apply for this? And I was like, I don't know anything about it, but we'll have a look. And then I sort of realised that obviously if Isabella did get chosen, I would have to go anyway as a guardian. So then I went, well, I might as well apply myself then.
And this is the first time Australia has had a junior team. So what does that mean to you, Isabella?
I think it's really cool. I can't say I'm the youngest junior to ever represent Australia because Sophie is. I'm one of the first, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Can you tell me, what was the selection process like?
So we had to contact Tanya, the team manager, and fill out an application form with a whole heap of details about us and our dogs and what level we were at. And then we had to submit videos of us running our dogs and dogs at master's level so that they could see our handling skills. Because obviously in Australia, we don't have tryouts like they have in Europe and other countries. So it was more that they could see our handling and our skills and so forth. So then we sent that in or submitted that, and then we waited to hear.
And so when you found out that you had made the team, what was that moment like? Let's start with you, Isabella. I'm assuming because you sort of spearheaded this, it was maybe a bigger deal for you?
Well, I saw the acceptance email first, and it didn't really feel real. Like, it was very surreal. And yeah, I was so excited, and I was like, oh my God, this is actually happening. Like, what's going on? I was really scared, but also really excited.
Yeah, it was fun because I remember the moment we were both lying on the couch, having a chilled afternoon, and Isabella went, Mum, I think I made it on the team. And I went, what? And so she showed me the email, and we were sitting there in awe, kind of that whole of like, is this real? Is that like actually happening? And we're like, going from just applying and thinking that maybe or maybe not to having that confirmation. And then I went, oh, I should check my email and just in case. And so got the email as well. And it was just, I think we just sat and looked at each other and went, I think this is happening. Like, okay, wow. And that was just really exciting. And it was kind of like, what do we do now? But no, really, really excited and so stoked for Isabella to have the opportunity.
And for listeners that may be unfamiliar with WAO, I mean, I did talk about it with Tanya a couple of months ago, but Australia doesn't take your own dogs overseas. So can you guys explain what the borrowed dog arrangement is, like how it works?
Yeah. So obviously it's a huge process if you were to fly a dog from Australia to Europe and back. That it's just not really feasible. So we borrow dogs, and as far as I know, over there it was put out on a couple of their Facebook groups and different places, asking people if they had dogs that they would basically like to volunteer for this, that were dogs that were able to work with other handlers, other people that they obviously don't know. And they then put in an application. And then Tanya sat and paired up looking at the dogs and who they were, what skills they had, and sort of personalities and bit of almost like a bit of a matchy. So having, as I said, done agility in Sweden, like I still have a few contacts over there. So I actually initially reached out to a few people in Sweden to see if there was anyone we could borrow. And in the process, Tanya turned around and said, we've got 2 dogs in the UK that are confirmed, ready to go for you. And we're only at the time able to have 1 dog in Sweden. And we're like, well, we need 2. So then we accepted the 2 dogs in the UK. So most of our team had dogs from the UK. One of our team members actually has her own dog because she lives in Germany at the moment. And one, I think, borrowed from a lady in Netherlands. But most of us were in the UK.
And what information were you given about these dogs before you arrived? So you had 1 each. So let's start with you, Eva. What did you know about your dog?
Yeah, so we were connected with our hosts. So my host, Heather, and my dog, Matty, who's a mixed breed, big dog, jumps 600. We got connected and we're talking, and she sent photos and videos of her running Matty, and lots of talking about what his verbal cues and things were. So there was a lot of back and forth with trying to sort of get to know each other just over a chat and things like that. So, she was really good with sending videos and photos and sort of talking about Matty's personality and things like that. So it felt like I almost knew them before we got there.
That's great. And Isabella, what was your dog?
So I had JJ, who belongs to Mandy. She's also a mixed breed. I remember one of the first things I was told was that she loved her toy donut. And I don't know why I remember it, but yeah. It's pretty much the same, lots of videos, lots of photos, about like seeing how Mandy handled her, and all of her verbals and everything.
And the heights, like, did you guys request specific height dogs, or like, did it not matter to you guys?
In our application, we could specify whichever height we would prefer. But Isabella and I, we're both used to running dogs of all sizes and builds. So we sort of had put in there that whatever is needed, basically, we're happy to take to create a team. So if other people had preferences, they could have that, and we'd take whatever was required to build the team.
And what did they end up being height-wise?
So JJ was 250, so a little dog, kind of like her own dog, Pippi. And Matty is a 600 dog, so a big dog.
How much time did you have with these dogs before you actually competed at WAO? Like, when did you guys go, and how much time did you spend getting to know them and training with them?
So Isabella and I headed over probably a little bit earlier than the rest of the team. So we had 8 days with them. So yeah, I think we had 8 days before we started heading over to the Netherlands.
And what did you do in that time to like familiarize yourself with these dogs, ready for competition?
We got thrown in the deep end with a competition. So we arrived and we had dinner on the first night. So I met Matty and Isabella met JJ with her hosts. And then on the Friday, we arrived on a Thursday. On the Friday, we had a training day. And then on the Saturday, there was straight into a competition. where we just went and ran and just to see what would happen really, so that then we could take that to training and work on whatever we found at competition that we sort of needed. So we competed on the Saturday and then again on the Monday. And then we had 3 training days through that week with our team coach, Tracy, and also a training session with Liz Carpenter. So yeah, and the rest of the time was just, spending time with the dogs, walking them, playing with them, and just building the connection, because you really need to have the connection to obviously be able to run agility.
And Isabella, how did you approach building that connection with JJ?
I found when we first met them, I loved her. When we went and had that dinner with our hosts and met the dogs, I loved her. She just sat on my lap for the whole dinner, pretty much. And then I think in the competition, the first weekend, I found it a bit difficult. And whenever both me and Mandy were with JJ, it was a bit difficult because, of course, she wanted her mum more than me. But then after we finished that competition, she came and stayed with us for the week. And I found it a lot easier to connect with her. And it was just lots of cuddles, feeding her, playing with her, doing little tricks and walking, and yeah.
And Eva, how did you connect with Matty?
Yeah, I remember walking through the door, and obviously I felt like I knew him, and he was like, there's a new person in my house. But I felt that we had a pretty much immediate connection where we just cuddled and played and just fully loved each other. It was like seeing an old friend, right? Where you're just like, oh my God, it's been too long. And so we stayed with my host who owns Matty. So he was with us 24/7. And yeah, like Isabella said, just spending that time being with him in his house and out walking a lot. We did lots of day trips out walking and exploring and things, and just playing and just spending that time and showing him who I was, that he could sort of trust me and give that love back. And he's such a lovable dog who got so much love to give. It's amazing dogs.
Yeah, I mean, dogs we all love dogs here, but they really do, I don't know, there's something special about the way that they can meet somebody new and just go, yeah, you know what? we're on the same team.
Yeah, absolutely.
What did you guys have to change about your handling or adapt for these new dogs? Did you have to change much, or did you have to approach things differently?
I felt Matty runs very, very differently from my dog. I've got a young boy now who drives ahead like crazy. So Matty's fast and got a very long stride. So it was getting used to his striding and his speed and figuring out how much drive and independence he had and where I could kind of place myself and how much I could trust him to go and do what I asked him to do. So that was probably a big adjustment for me to kind of figuring that out. And I was with his verbals as well. He didn't have a huge amount of verbals. He reads body language a lot, but some verbals were completely new to me. They were probably easier to learn, whereas some verbals were like the same word, but they had different meaning as to what I train at home. So switching that around in my head to go, no, that word actually means this for Matty rather than what it means for my dog, kind of thing, that was actually hard. And when you're running fast on an agility course, you don't really have time to sort of think. You got to know it. So that was a bit of a challenge to get my head around the right verbals and the right handling for Matty. And I felt it was really towards the end of WAYO where I went, I've got it. And I felt like, can we have another week now that we've got it?
And what about you, Isabella? What was it? What did you have to change or adapt for JJ?
I had to run a lot faster than I do with my dog. And she had lots of different cues, and I had to use my body language a lot more because she was very sensitive to body language and verbals. Um, and if I messed something up, then she would just like bark and jump on me. um, yeah, I found the verbals difficult as well. But I think by the end of that competition we did the first weekend, I feel like it was just automatic. And now I'm like, oh no, I have to relearn my own cues for my dog.
Were there things about these dogs that kind of surprised you?
Not really.
I think for me, it was having seen some of Matty's videos of him running, and I'm going, okay, like he's a cool dude. He's got some speed, long stride, all of that. And I think the thing surprised me was how chill he was. Like my dogs, they're like playing and it's crazy and they're like, oh my God, we're going to go in and do agility. And he's like, Matty just sits there and goes, okay, tell me when to go. Like he's such a chilled dog outside the agility ring. And like you get people, you could easily look at him and go and kind of almost judge a little bit and go, is that dog really going to go in and run agility? And then you put him in front of a jump and start running and it's like, whoa, okay, completely different dog. So I think that was the main thing that sort of surprised me, I suppose, that he was just such a chill dog who kind of looked like he didn't actually really want to do anything.
Yeah, and JJ, she had a lot of personality and I loved it. And I just wasn't expecting it.
And so, preparing for an event like this or an experience like this, what was the preparation like before you left Australia, and then what was it before you actually got to WAO?
I mean, there's a lot of preparation in the sense of a lot of communicating with our hosts about our dogs, getting to know both the owners and also try and, as we said, get to know the dogs before even getting there. All the trips, all the traveling and everything with logistics. And I think for Isabella and I, it was probably a bit harder because we did have 2 dogs and 2 hosts, and our hosts didn't actually know each other prior to this either. So trying to sort of organise all the logistics around how we're all getting over to the Netherlands and the dogs and all the things that were needed for that. So the dogs needed health checks and papers signed off to be allowed to travel and all those sorts of things. And there's a thing as well from the UK going over to Europe. They're not allowed to bring meat products. So they were changing the dogs' diets to more fish products because you can bring fish products over and things like that. So for them, there was a lot of things that need to fall in place there before going over. And from even traveling from Australia, like, as I said, organising plane trips. And, for Tanya, it was a massive job organising a whole team with accommodation and entries and all of that. So she had a massive task. So it's been a good, 6 months of full-on planning, organising, a lot of obviously having to communicate, making sure that all parties know where everything is at and what is happening. It was a lot.
And what about the training side of it? Did you guys do like old WAO maps before leaving? What kind of training did you do with the dogs before you got to WAO? What did that look like? What kind of preparation was involved in the handling and the training?
Well, when training, we did maps that were and courses that were inspired by some of the judges that we were going to have at WAO. And just looking at course maps from previous years, not actually running them, but just looking at them and looking at courses designed by the judges that we were going to have at WAO and how we would handle them and all of that.
And when you got to the UK, did you obviously I'm assuming the competitions you attended in the UK were probably not similar style, but what kind of training prep did you work on? Was it all skills or was it running courses or was it just focusing on those local comps? What was the process?
It was a little bit of everything, I would say. So going to that first local competition was about just go in and see how the dogs work with us and how we work with the dogs and just get a feel for it so that we could sort of then go, okay, we now have a week to go and train. What do we actually need to train on? So like Matty, he's got great contacts. So we knew that that wasn't really necessarily going to be a huge thing. But as it turned out, he tried to really push the boundaries and go, let's test Eva and see if she'll make me stop on my contacts. So we did end up doing a lot of contact training to really get him to understand that. You still got to keep your criteria. But yeah, like Isabella said, like the courses that Tracy and Liz had set up were sort of a bit like what we do when we go to seminars here, where they set up a course, we run, and then see where things kind of, to then go, okay, let's go back and break that down and get that right.
So, all right, you've done your prep, you've met your dogs, you're at WAO. Tell me what is it like? What's the atmosphere like?
Incredible. It's just electrifying.
You can't even describe it. It's crazy.
There's no words for it. Like driving in, before it actually opened, I was on the grounds because my host stayed on the grounds in the motorhome. And I remember driving in, dropping her off. And as we drove in, there's this massive sort of billboard with the WAO logo on it. And I've gone, oh my God, we're here. And then drove past the main arena where they'd finished hanging up the flags and all the signs and everything. And I'm like, oh my God, we're here. And I think I cried. And then the next day, I think Isabella came with me and we both just kind of stood there and went, this is real. It's that whole pinch me moment of, is this really happening?
Yeah.
And when you see all the people the next day when we were checking in and doing the vetting, just like people just coming from everywhere and all the countries, and just even getting the grasp on the scope of it, because this was the biggest year they've had with 43 countries being represented. So that's a huge amount, and there's just no words for it. Like I'm getting goosebumps and chills.
Yes,
Even talking about it and thinking about it.
Yeah. And like, but lining up to go into the opening ceremony, it was just like, we were all like shaking. And then before and after the first run, there was like, I cried so much.
Also,
and it was just unbelievable. Like, it still doesn't feel real. And then after the last run, it was just like, I can't believe it's over. Like,
yeah,
does it have to be over? Yeah, it went really quickly.
Yeah.
And everyone was so supportive, like our team, the other teams, everyone. It was just amazing.
And what was it like running for Team Australia? Like the opening ceremony, you guys are representing Australia at this comp. What did that feel like?
Amazing. Like I swear, I mean, Isabella and I, well, we only really knew Sophie. We didn't actually know anyone else from the team, I think.
No.
But it was like walking into a group of friends. Like we all gelled and just got along like a house on fire. It was amazing. Like everyone was so supportive. We all cheered for each other. Like I think we were the loudest country cheering.
Definitely.
It might have only been 7 of us, but man, we were loud. Everyone knew we were there.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Absolutely amazing. Couldn't have asked for a better team.
Yeah.
And what was it like interacting with the teams from the other countries? Like, what was the vibe amongst the other teams?
I think we saw all the cool people that everyone knows from like social media, like all the famous agility people and previous world champions and everything. And it was just like, everyone was just nice to everyone and everyone was supportive of everyone. And yeah.
Yeah, I would say that as well. Like there was I didn't get that whole feeling that anyone was above anyone, like sometimes you can get going, I'm the world champion, do you know who I am, kind of feeling, but there was none of that. Like everyone just goes in, runs, everyone cheers each other on, everyone is clapping regardless of whether you DQ or have a good run or a messy run or whatever. Like everyone is just cheering and genuinely happy for each other. And the support from literally the whole world is just amazing. So amazing.
And I found all of the other countries, when they found out that we weren't running our own dogs, they were all just like even more surprised and even more supportive and just like, how can you do that when you only know the dog for a week?
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine people are probably confused by that, but then when they think about the reality of Australia, it probably makes sense.
Yeah. And I found as people found out, like they would come over and seek us out and be like, I just heard that you guys have borrowed dogs. Is that true? Like, just amazed. Like, I couldn't imagine not running my own dog or trying to do this in a week. Like, how do you even do that? So we had a lot of people come and seek us out and actually ask questions about it. And we're just amazed.
And did you meet anybody that you were sort of, maybe that you look up to or that you were excited to meet? Did you get that opportunity?
I definitely saw lots of people that I look up to, but I was too scared to talk to any of them.
Yeah. And I think as well, like, it's hard because everyone is constantly off warming up a dog, cooling down a dog, running here, walking there, busy kind of thing, and because we're sort of split in groups as well, like the countries, you have 4 groups, you ended up very much like being in that group and not necessarily seeing a whole lot of the other groups. And again, like there's no sort of anyone is above anyone. It was just everyone just sort of chit chats and I think I was talking to someone and I can't even remember who it was. And afterwards kind of went, oh wait, I think that was such and such. Oh yeah, I follow him on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I didn't even realize at the time, like it was just another person that you talk to. Like everyone is kind of on the same level.
And so tell me about the courses. What were they like? I imagine that they are quite different from what you're used to.
They were completely different. They were so good and I miss them already. Like, I really wish our courses were like that. Like, we're getting some judges these days that are getting closer to that, but it's not nearly the same level. It's completely different and it's amazing.
They're fast and furious, right? Like you go in and you run hard.
Yeah.
And everyone did that. There's no taking a safe way, really. It's just you go in and you run hard, hope for the best. But mad skills but they big. I think I didn't hear all the course lengths for all the courses that I ran, but I remember someone saying that basically they were 250 meters long, which clearly we don't get here in Australia. But they open. They've got beautiful lines for the dogs. They really get to stretch out, but you also have those really nice collection points, and they do require skill. Let's face it, if you don't have the skills, and then you're not going to get around. So they're hard, but they run so nice. And you run, let's face it, you need oxygen at the end, but they run so nicely. They really, really do. Like at the local event that we did, the rings were probably more the same size, similar size to what we have here in Australia. But even then, the courses were still that, what we say, typical European style.
Yeah.
WAO had huge courses, huge rings, and the courses were more spread out in that sense. Like you had bigger distances, but the actual design of the courses are still very flowing and beautiful lines for the dogs most of the time.
Yeah, like you watch the courses being run online and it looks so difficult, which it is, but then you do it in person and it just runs so nicely. And it's just really nice. It's like there's such a science to designing those courses. Like they're just perfect.
And what else did you observe sort of about, agility internationally that maybe was different or you haven't seen before or you think we should bring here? Like just not just the course design, was there other things?
I would say everything was run extremely smoothly. Everything was by the second. Course walking, 8 minutes, bang, that's it, out. There was no time wasting. Everything was like super duper organized. even at the small trial, like everything just ran literally by clockwork. And when you go into the ring or lining up and everything, all that was super organized. And going into the ring, standing on the start line, there was no time wasting fluffing around. Like people go in, they're ready, like the lead's off, ready to go. And you just get told to go and you go. Like there was no time wasting. So everything just ran so smoothly.
Yeah, it was like literally by the second. And yeah, it was so much better organized than anything we have over here. Like, yeah, like the small trial we competed at, when we first met the dogs, there was like, I think 14 rings on the Monday or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was so well organized, and it's hard to describe.
Sorry, 14 rings is a small trial?
No. Yeah, well, no. Yes and no. But you got different organizations over there running trials, and at these particular grounds, they had craft singles tryouts. They had a number of different tryouts that weekend. But you actually had 3 different organizations running their trial on the Saturday, and on the Monday, I think it was 2 of them. And the one had 12 rings. But it's so organized again with like through their app, through their system, you know your running order, you know exactly which ring you need to be in. You just look at the app and go, oh, okay, they're walking. So you go over and walk. You know exactly what's happening for you on that day. And you can look up all the rings and see where everything is at. So we kind of went, oh my God, how are we going to do this? And like, thank God we had obviously our hosts telling us where to be and what to do. But once we sort of had a look at the system, we're like, oh, that is like so simple, actually.
Yeah.
So you didn't run around like a headless chook. It was just like, oh, okay, it's time to walk. Okay, off we go. And we went there and did what we needed to do.
Yeah, and there were almost no clashes.
No, I didn't have any.
I did, but
I did. Oh, yeah, you had them.
yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, so I would like you to talk us through one of your runs. You can pick, I don't mind which you can pick, like the one that's maybe in your mind the most. So let's start with you, Isabella. So like talk us through it. What were you thinking? What was your plan? How did it go?
I'm just going to warn you, I have a terrible memory. But there was one run, I think it was bonus speed stakes, which was one of our last runs. It was a tricky course, and I would have either had to rear cross everything or blind everything. And I was like, I'm never going to be able to blind anything, like do a blind cross anywhere, because this dog is so fast and I'm not that fast. And so for Weo, I had both my knees and my ankles strapped the whole week, and it was a bit tricky to move my legs. So I was like, I'm not going to be able to make any blinds anywhere. And then I went in the ring, lined up, and like as soon as I start a run, my brain just switches off and it just happens, and then it's over. And then everything was perfect, and I made every single blind cross the whole run. And then it was clear. And then on the second last jump, it was a wrap, and then to the last jump. And I didn't decide whether I wanted to slice it or wrap it. And then the dog back jumped the second last jump, and it was perfect until that. And I was so mad at myself, but I'm still really happy. It was still my favorite run because of how perfect it was.
Yeah, that would be gutting, but still, you should be proud to do right to the end. How many obstacles is it? Like 20?
22.
22, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 20 out of 22 was perfect. That's awesome.
I don't know. It really was a perfect run, and we're all there going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And it was just that slight miscommunication on that second last jump, and we all just went, oh my God, and we all cried.
Yeah.
all three cried.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was amazing.
And then my friend, the other junior, she ran about, I don't know, a few dogs after me, and she got it, and I cried because I was so happy for her.
Oh, so she got the clear on the same run?
Yep.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. And what about you, Eva? Can you talk us through one of your runs?
Oh, it's hard to pick one favorite run. But I think actually the team run, agility run that I did on the Saturday, was probably one of my favorites. The cause was amazing, and it just gelled, like I felt so connected with Matty, and he listened, did his contacts, all the things. And really the only thing that got us eliminated was my handling on a jump, where I leaned in so he jumped straight on instead of going to the backside. Such a silly little mistake, right? But it was just, it just gelled. It flowed. And again, like the lines were amazing. And I mean, I had to sprint because you're literally running from one corner to another and across and everywhere. And I felt like my chest was going to pop. But it was just such a beautiful run when you just feel that connection, and where it just feels like everything is coming together. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, that's very cool. What would you guys say is the hardest thing about the experience for you?
Leaving
Yeah.
when it all finished.
Yeah.
You don't want it to finish. It was far too short. The hardest thing was the last run, knowing it was our last opportunity, last turn. And then when that was done, I just kind of sat down in the exit chute with Matty and just cried and hugged him, and the dog's going, "Give me my sausage." Yeah. Yeah, that was the goodbyes are always the hardest.
Yeah, for me, I think it's between two things. One thing is the amount of pressure I put on myself for the team events, because I put a lot of pressure on myself. But then it was fine, and everyone was supportive anyway, of course. And the other thing, which it would be the hardest moment, was definitely leaving. After the last run, yeah, I literally just sat down and bawled my eyes out. And some of the photographers got photos of me bawling my eyes out, so they're going to be everywhere now.
Yeah.
And then I think it was 2 days after, when we were saying goodbye to the dogs, we got dropped at the airport hotel to go home, and I just sat and cried for so long, just cuddling this dog. And she was like, "What is going on? Like, let go of me." And yeah.
Yeah.
Well, tell me now, what was the best moment?
Oh,
All of it.
so many. Meeting that initial meeting with the dogs, because it's always a bit nerve-wracking with, I mean, we didn't know if the dogs were gonna accept us or like us, or but both of us having that instant connection with the dogs were really amazing. And I think, meeting everyone, training with everyone, and the whole turning up at WAO and going, my God, this is reality. And yeah, just the whole thing, honestly.
I think the team dinner on the first night, where we all met each other, like a couple of people knew each other already, and everyone was just so sweet and nice, and just like, again, old friends.
Mm.
And it was such a vibe. Like, everyone was just chatting and getting along. And also, my other favorite moment was after the first run. It was just like, that happened. And there's a whole week of it to go. And it was just like, wow.
So how did this experience change you guys as, agility handlers?
I think, like, I've come home with a new sort of fire in my belly, with just like, oh my God, there's so many things that I want to do. I think absolutely you can't leave an experience like that and say that it's not going to make you a better handler. I see, in a sense, a lot of flaws in my own training and handling of, there are things that I can do so much better and clearer communication with my dog. And like I'm reviewing sort of my verbals that I use for my dog and go, are they clear? And what are my expectations? What do I actually want my dog to do on a whole different level than what I used to? Like you always have your cues in that, but yeah, I think I'm a lot clearer in my mind with what I want from each handling skill. Um, but yeah, just you can't walk away without being a better handler, really, having that experience.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and watching all these other amazing handlers over there where you pick up things and go, oh, wow, it's all as easy sitting on the sideline and go, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that. But to be able to go out and put that into practice, it's going to make you better.
And Isabella, how has the experience changed you or your outlook on agility?
I think it's made me wish I could do agility full time. Yeah, I think it's just it's made me realize that as much as it is about obviously doing well and clear runs and all of that, it's just as much about having fun and just having a connection with the dog. And I think with my next dog, I'll definitely do the foundations completely different and everything different.
Yeah. And so for other people who are thinking about, I don't know, maybe this sounds really cool, maybe I could do this in future. Like what would you say for someone who's thinking about applying for the Australian team?
Just do it.
It is such an amazing experience. And, I think it was that whole putting realistic expectations on the experience of we're not running our own dogs. We're running dogs that we're borrowing from someone else and relying on the skills that they have been taught previously by someone else. And we only have that short period of time to kind of get to know them. So it was just going for the experience and being there and seeing how it all runs and works and watch all these other amazing handlers from all over the world and just soaking up that experience. And like we said, taking everything that you learn and everything that you see back home and go, what do I want in my own agility journey? So I say, just go for it. Absolutely, just go for it.
Yeah.
And what about for juniors, Isabella?
I say, honestly, don't worry about any of the logistics or costs or anything. Just let your parents deal with it and go have fun. And like, I was so worried about like eliminating and all of that, but there were actually not many clear runs, even with the people that had their own dogs. There were so many eliminations and faults and everything, and no one cared. And it was just still a good run, and everyone was still supportive and cheering. So it's like, don't worry, just have fun and don't waste it.
I really love your advice to not care about the logistics or cost, but yeah, just for a little bit of realism, what does it actually cost to do this?
I honestly could not give you even a ballpark figure. And I think it's different as well, like because both Isabella and I went and we had 2 dogs and 2 entries and all the expenses for our hosts and everything. But it is a lot, let's face it. We did a lot of fundraisers, both as the team as well as individually, to help us on the journey, and people have been amazingly supportive in that regard as well, with raffles and fundraising events and what have you. But it is a lot, and you think what just a holiday trip to Europe might be, but then you got to add that you got to cover the cost for your hosts, the dog, both with traveling and accommodation and food and all the things. So it's not just your own individual cost, but it's for them as well. And we all know that on a holiday, you spend more than you plan. Obviously there was a bit of shopping with the toys and various merch that they had there. So you do have to obviously consider your finances. But before you actually apply, as part of the application form, there was a list of a rough breakdown of what expenses there will be and a rough estimate of what that will cost.
I think the estimate was like $8,200.
Yeah, about $8,500. Yeah. And that's without flights, obviously, and food and all those incidentals. So you do get to sort of see a rough list and approximate cost of what it may cost you before you apply. So you do have to consider that before putting in your application. But if you can do it, it's absolutely so worth it.
Yeah.
And I've heard that at these big international comps, there's a lot of swapping of team shirts and other merch. Did you guys do that?
Oh, yeah.
Just a bit.
It was so funny. It was full on, like, everyone is like all over the place at the grounds, dealing shirts. It's like, here's mine, here's yours.
Yeah. I think between the two of us, we have like uniform stuff from about what?
I've got 5 shirts from different countries.
And I think I have like 7. So
yeah,
like 12 countries or something. We have a lot.
That's a fair. Yeah.
It was a lot bigger than we expected, like in terms of the shirt swaps and stuff.
Yeah. Everyone wanted Australia because obviously Australia's not there very often, and everyone wanted the shirt with the kangaroo on it.
Yes, I can imagine you guys are coveted compared to sort of the standard European nations that are always at these kinds of events.
Yeah.
Let's go big picture. What is your main takeaway from competing at WAYO? Or you can take this any way you like, but like what is like one thing you want to say or sum up or one thing about it?
Oh,
that's hard.
It is hard. It's so hard to sum it up because it just amazing. Like, as I said before, like the energy, the camaraderie, like the support, having so many people watch each other and cheer each other on, regardless of where you are from the world or no matter what your results are. You know, like I said, everyone's cheering, clapping, even if you eliminate and even if you do well. Or, I think that's a really big thing for me that we can all learn from, just that community of just supporting literally everyone from all around the world. Obviously, a massive shout out to Tanya for being our team manager and
definitely
organising the whole team. But also to our hosts, Mandy and Heather. They didn't know us. They didn't know anyone. So for putting their dogs up to volunteer them to run at this event and traveling overseas and taking time off work, taking time out of their life to trust complete strangers to come and stay in their home and for them to give us their dogs for essentially 2 weeks.
I think that's crazy.
Just amazing, you know. And I know Heather was like, "Oh, I think you guys are amazing for doing this," and I'm like, "You're the one actually giving up your dog and accepting me into your house." Like, couldn't thank them enough for doing that.
One thing I would like to add, if there's any juniors or any kids listening, I think we really need more juniors in Australia, and there's not enough done for juniors, and I'd love to see some more.
Actually, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Because in Europe, and I know in New Zealand as well, there's a lot being done for juniors. And as I said, I started as a junior in Sweden. Like, it was all juniors. And then the parents kind of came along and jumped on board because they were taking the kids around training and trials anyway. But it is massive. I think, what did we estimate? That there was probably about 100 juniors competing at WAYO?
More than 100 at WAYO.
Yeah. Like, there was a lot of juniors. And I think it's definitely something that, you know, they are the future of the sport, essentially. So I think there's a lot we can probably do, hopefully in Australia, to sort of encourage that a little bit more and get more juniors on board in the sport.
Yeah.
Well, that is such an awesome story. I'm sure plenty of people are really envious, but also really inspired by you guys. I think it's very cool that you've, you know, had this experience and taken these things away. And thank you for coming on and sharing, you know, a little bit about it. And I appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you for having
Pleasure. Thank you for having us.
This has been Flat Out Agility. Be kind to dogs.